Hey guys, so today we have a few stories to get through, and before we get into those, Instagram, Twitter, follow me on there. It's a fun time, and also second channel coming soon. I'm so sorry guys, procrastination is actually just the bane of my existence. So the first story we have is Dua Lipa. Dua Lipa is a British singer, and she has recently released a few singles, and now she said she's going to be releasing her album sooner than she intended on releasing it because it was leaked. This happens a lot to a lot of artists. I don't know how it happens. I don't know how these things aren't kept more under wraps by like managers and producers and stuff. I don't know who there leaks it or who gets hold of it, or is it hackers? I don't know who it is, but her album got leaked, so she's now releasing it so she can actually capitalize off the streams, which like is what she deserves. She deserves to make some money off of the album that she put blood, sweat and tears into, and that is the story of that. Then Nikita Dragun recently has had like a Snapchat show, which T-Spill actually watched and then tweeted that Nikita Dragun spoke about the fact that she was supposed to do a collaboration with Bretman Rock, and that fell through, and what the tea regarding that is, and apparently there is no tea. Their time schedules just didn't work out, and that they will be collaborating soon. But Nikita Dragun then also tweeted out saying, "Please, for the love of God, communicate to me when I've done something that bothers you. Let me apologize and learn." And then let me just remind you guys that last time we spoke about Nikita Dragun, she posted a picture where she was the shade of like an orange, but like a burnt orange. She made herself a solid 10 shades darker than she should have been, and not even just darker but also just orange, so like it didn't actually look good. And then she was wearing a durag, and there was another time where she wore braids, and she consistently gets accused of appropriating other people's cultures, and then when people actually bring it up to her, she's like, "Oh well, guess who doesn't care? Me." I remember she tweeted something along those lines like, "Oh, I don't care." So this is pretty ironic for her to be like, "Please communicate with me so I can learn and apologize." And when people actually communicate with her and help her to try and learn, she's like, "I don't care. I don't care. You're not going to tell me what to do. I don't care." Like, it's just pathetic. If you're going to say communicate with me so I can learn, then actually learn once people communicate. I don't know, just an idea, maybe just an idea. Then with the whole thing we're not allowed to talk about, aka Voldemort, happening in the world, people are being insensitive. Celebrities are still doing their thing, aka not doing anything at all of value. Lime Crime Instagram apparently reposted this thing about alternative medicine where they're like, if you burn sage, it apparently kills 94% of airborne bacteria, which a lot of people are saying is basically alternative medicine, which shouldn't be promoted in this time of crisis. What we should be recommending is antibacterial surface wipes and antibacterial gel and washing your hands. Like, realistically, that's, you know, that's what we're gonna recommend. And Lime Crime has been in trouble before, so I'm hoping this isn't like a downward slope for them again, because that would be a shame. Not like I ever tried any of their makeups, I don't actually care, but everyone deserves a second chance, don't ruin it. And then on top of that, Huda Beauty released pictures and skits of her in full body suits, like kissing her boyfriend and doing all that stuff to basically show like she's having fun in isolation. Not many people are having fun in isolation because not everyone's a millionaire. Some people are scared about, one, losing their jobs, not getting paid, not being able to afford rent. I'm not offended by this. I don't care. I like jokes. I like dealing with things with jokes, but I know some people said that this was like slightly insensitive to people that are clearly having a worse time than her, because a lot of the time when we see jokes on Twitter or TikTok, it's by people that are on an equal playing field to us. Like they have normal jobs and they have education and they're just trying to poke fun at their own misfortune. With her, she's a multi-millionaire. There's really no misfortune there, unless someone that she knows gets tested positive, then yes, that will affect her. But just staying at home and having to isolate doesn't really affect rich people the way it affects normal people. So when normal people joke about this, it's fine, but when rich people do it, it kind of comes off as a little ignorant. But I don't really care about this that much. I care more about the Lime Crime sage thing. Like, I'm just not a huge fan of alternative medicine, if you haven't realized. The next piece of tea about the Voldemort that we can't talk about is YouTubers isolating, aka not isolating at all. People are now calling out Jaclyn Hill for having like big family gatherings at her house, so people are coming over and then they're going back home and they're spreading everything. Then there's Jeffree Star, who had a makeup and hair team over at his house, as if he can't do his makeup himself. Aren't you like supposed to be a beauty guru, an MUA, one of those? So why do you desperately need a makeup and hair team to come over to your house during an isolation? I don't know. And then Laura Lee and Manny MUA were chilling together. Are they gonna go back to their own families? So they're just spreading it further? Like, okay, self-isolate means self-isolate. Like, just don't have big gatherings. Big gatherings include family. Like, you know when they said no gatherings over a certain amount, that does include family and friends as well. You can hang out with people in your house or people that, like, you know, you're with all the time, but don't do big 30 people gatherings in your house, because that's not how isolating works. I also saw a tweet by someone called Chris Clemens, and he tweeted out saying, "I'm sorry, but why did I just find out live on my Twitch that ABH Cosmetics isn't compensating their RSS employees during this time? Just a reminder, this company was projected to make $162 million in 2019. And then he said, "If I am a small business and I can Venmo people struggling during this time $100, $250, $600, then this company can pay its workers." This hasn't really been like confirmed or denied by anyone, but if ABH is actually not paying their employees, trash. ABH has been getting themselves into a little bit of trouble lately with everything they've been doing, like collaborating with an MLM, offering exposure as payment, releasing too much product. And if this is another thing they've done, then ABH clearly needs new management, and maybe, just maybe, Norvina isn't quite ready to take on the role of managing the whole company. Maybe it was better when someone else managed it and she was just the face of it, because right now it seems like there were a lot of really weird decisions being made, and it seems to have started when Norvina came on and took on a more leading role. And I just don't want to see one of my favorite companies go down a hole. So yeah, I would love to find out if that's true, and I would love for them to provide some evidence that they're actually paying their employees and that employees don't have to like be worried about paying rent and stuff. The next piece of celebrity tea, that's probably the last one, is Ellen DeGeneres. Ellen DeGeneres has been kind of a disliked figure over the last year or so, and that's been now like pushed further by someone called Kevin T. Porter, who said, "Right now we all need a little kindness, you know, like Ellen DeGeneres always talks about. She's also notoriously one of the meanest people alive. Respond to this with the most insane stories you've heard about Ellen being mean, and I'll match everyone with $2 to LA Food Bank." So someone said, "I can't vouch for anything being real if it didn't happen to me, but this is as close as I can get. My friend who works at Real Food Daily says Ellen came in and dined, and when she saw her server had a chipped nail, not in the food, like she had like nail varnish chipped off, Ellen called management and tried to get her fired. Knowing what we know about how memory and cultural storyboarding works though, we probably shouldn't take any of these stories as literally true unless the source is willing to talk about it. Give $2 anyway though, I really did hear this story. A, she has a sensitive nose, so everyone must chew gum from a bowl outside her office before talking to her, and if she thinks you smell that day, you have to go home and shower. B, a new staff member was told every day she picks someone different to really hate. It's not your fault, just suck it up for the day and she'll be mean to someone else the next day. They didn't believe it, but it ended up being entirely true. C, when she's in a bad mood, staff members were highly encouraged by upper management to go into her office and do bits to cheer her up. D, she cares about animals, which is good, but so sensitive. For example, if someone tried to show her a funny viral video and way in the distance a barely audible dog is barking, she'll scream at you and say, "Can't you hear that that animal is in distress? Why did you show me this?" And E, if she doesn't like the monologue someone wrote that day, she'll drop it on the floor and say, "I'm not saying a word of this." Lastly, F, someone wrote a joke. Just scooters outside, yes, do that. Lastly, F, someone wrote a joke with the phrase, "It's like pulling a rabbit out of a hat," and she screamed at them, "Do you know how painful that would be to the rabbit?" Someone else said, "There was that time she bullied Mariah Carey into admitting she was pregnant," which was basically Mariah Carey came pregnant on the Ellen show in 2008, and she tried to force her to drink alcohol to prove that she wasn't, despite all of Mariah refusing to take part, and then she had a miscarriage weeks later, which obviously isn't related, but it's just really sad that that happened like that. Now she had to prove herself, and then she had a miscarriage, which maybe a lot of women don't want to talk about being pregnant for at least about 15 weeks, just so that if they do have a miscarriage, they don't have to tell everyone and go through all of that. So it was kind of mean for Ellen DeGeneres to put all of that on blast, and then for Mariah Carey to have to go through that publicly and not just privately. That's kind of the deal. If you guys know the podcast, of course you do, because everyone knows it, My Favorite Murder with Karen and Georgia. So Karen Kilgariff was her head writer for 5 years until the writer's strike. When Karen wouldn't cross the picket line, she was fired, and Ellen never spoke to her again. And apparently now, like, Karen will make snide remarks here and there. I love Karen and Georgia and that whole podcast. I listen to it all the time, so I know what kind of a person she is, kind of, in a way. And I'm assuming if she, you know, she went on the side of the writers, which is always the side you want to take. It's the more vulnerable side in that case. And apparently now, whenever someone brings up Ellen to Karen, Karen gives like a sarcastic, like, "Oh no, she was great." And if I'm gonna trust anyone, it's gonna be Karen, not Ellen. So I said, I have a few. A friend of mine told me about a custodian she knew who was fired because he was slightly autistic and forgot he wasn't allowed to look at or speak to her, and he loved greeting everyone. Another friend of mine was a PA on her show, and when Russell Brand came into the employee break area to chat with a crew crew and hang out, Ellen came in and got mad at him, saying he didn't have to interact with these people. That's why guests have their own area backstage. And finally, another friend of mine worked on Arrested Development season 4, and when they were having to find workarounds for any scenes with Portia in them because Ellen wouldn't let her go to work most days. Another one is she shamed my entire culture for our staple food source, which is seal meat. We are Inuit. I am so ignorant right now. I'm so sorry. I live in the Arctic where barely any edible plants grow. Watch my film Angry Inuk on iTunes to learn more. My sister worked for the Ellen show for 2 years. This is from her. I saw Ellen in the hallway every day and would say hello, and she never once said hello back. She wouldn't smile. She wouldn't even acknowledge me at all for 2 seasons. My sister wants me to emphasize that Portia was always very nice. I worked at Real Food Daily, served her and Portia at brunch. She wrote a letter to the owner and complained about my chipped nail polish. It's the girl. It all goes full circle. Wow, this is incredible. Not that it was on her plate, but just that it was on my hand. I had worked till closing the night before, and this was the next morning. Almost got me fired. And the last one is, was working on a show at Warner Brothers that was next to her stage. Was our showrunner 50th birthday. Caterer grilling steaks outside for special fancy lunch. Ellen sent someone over to demand they stop as she doesn't eat meat. She's the worst. I have another food one. She polices her crew's lunch orders. Nobody allowed to eat fish, etc. They would come hide in our stage to eat what they wanted away from her. And that's the tea on Ellen DeGeneres. All of those got donations to the food bank, so I'm very happy about that. And if she is an awful person, which a lot of people, a lot of people have had really poor stories with Ellen DeGeneres, and when there is smoke, there is fire, so I'm gonna stick with that. She just seems like, you know, people that are too nice tend to be the meanest, and she's one of those like too nice people that I think I would assume would be really mean, but that's just my opinion on that. The next piece of tea is Kim Kardashian, Taylor Swift and Kanye West. I recently spoke about the feud that is going on there. That's my last video, where basically a few years ago, I believe it was 2016, Kanye West came out with a song called Famous, where he said it was something along the lines of, I feel like me and Taylor might start why because I made famous. And apparently he called her to get approval for the lyrics, and apparently she approved. Turns out now that she didn't, and that when he called her, she said this might come off as a little bit misogynistic, and I just don't think you should do it because it will come across really bad. And that was the whole phone call. But Kim Kardashian actually filmed the conversation without Taylor Swift's consent, which in California is illegal, and she could go to jail for up to a year and pay huge like damages to Taylor Swift if she decided to sue. And not only that, but Kim Kardashian also edited out bits that kind of didn't fit the narrative that she wanted. So the version that she uploaded showed Kanye in a good light because it showed that Taylor Swift was like agreeing to this, when in reality if she showed the whole thing, it would show that Taylor Swift was highly uncomfortable with the whole conversation. And now we find out, first of all, that season 18 of Keeping Up with the Kardashians is coming out this Thursday. What a coinkadonk. Wow. But also Taylor Swift put on her Instagram story saying, instead of answering those who are asking how I feel about the video footage that leaked, proving that I was telling the truth the whole time about that call, you know, the one that was illegally recorded, that somebody edited and manipulated in order to frame me and put me, my family and my fans through hell for 4 years. Swipe up to see what really matters, and when you swiped up, it was the World Health Organization and Feeding America. So you swipe up, and instead of finding out about the phone call, you end up getting taken to a donation page, which wow. And right while we see Taylor Swift doing all of that and basically saying, I don't care about this anymore, please just donate in this time of need, Kim Kardashian went on a thread of venting, and she said, at Taylor Swift has chosen to reignite an old exchange that at this point in time feels very self-serving given the suffering millions of real victims are facing right now. Wasn't Taylor Swift the one that provided a link to donate instead of going on a 15 tweet thread? Okay, I didn't feel the need to comment a few days ago, and I'm actually really embarrassed and mortified to be doing it right now, but because she continues to speak on it, I feel I'm left without a choice but to respond because she is actually lying. To be clear, the only issue I ever had around the situation was that Taylor lied through her publicist, who stated that Kanye never called to ask for permission. They clearly spoke, so I let you all see that. Nobody ever denied the word was used without her permission. I'll get into the publicist's statement. At the time when they spoke, the song had not been fully written yet, but as everyone can see in the video, she manipulated the truth of their actual conversation in her statement when her team said she declined and cautioned him about releasing a song with such a strong misogynistic message. The lie was never about the word, it was always whether there was a call or not and the tone of the conversation. I never edited the footage. Another lie, I only posted a few clips on Snapchat to make my point, and the full video that recently leaked doesn't change the narrative. To add, Kanye as an artist has every right to document his musical journey and process, just like she recently did through her documentary. Kanye has documented the making of all his albums for his personal archive, however, has never released any of it for public consumption, and the call between the two of them would have remained private or would have gone in the trash had she not lied and forced me to defend him. This will be the last time I speak on this because honestly nobody cares. Sorry to bore you all with this. I know you're all dealing with more serious and important matters. And then Taylor Swift's publicist said, "I'm Taylor's publicist and this is the unedited original statement. By the way, when you take parts out, that's editing. P.S. Who did you guys piss off to leak that video?" And the original statement was, Kanye did not call for approval, but asked Taylor to release his single Famous on her Twitter account. She declined and cautioned him about releasing a song with such a strong misogynistic message. Taylor was never made aware of the actual lyric, "I made that famous." Whereas Kim Kardashian said that the publicist stated that Kanye never called to ask for permission, where the original statement said Kanye didn't call for approval but to ask Taylor to release his single. Once again, she's editing out parts to fit their narrative, which I always really like Kim K. I think she's, wow, me and Kim K are on like first name basis now. I like Kim Kardashian because she never really gets involved in drama other than this, and I'm just like, you've done so much good, you know, you did the whole getting people out of jail bit. Let's just stick with that. Let's just donate some money, get people out of jail, and not talk about 2016 beef. Just apologize and move on before you get sued. The next story is Dissociate Did, which is Nin, that was on Anthony Padilla's like spending a day with people with DID. She's recently had beef with Trisha Paytas because obviously Trisha Paytas is pretending to have DID and is also being extremely disrespectful to Nin. And recently Nin has basically said that she's being hacked over and over again on her Google AdSense, on her Instagram, on everything, and it almost seems like it's Trisha Paytas, which I wouldn't be surprised about, but I'll let that brew and see where we go with that. But I wouldn't be surprised if Trisha Paytas was going that far to basically just ruin someone else for exposing her for the liar that she is. Because she has recently, I don't know if you guys remember, she has given another channel 3 strikes and had their channel terminated because she didn't like the edits that they made of her. The girl did get her channel back, but that's not the point. The principle is she breaks the law wherever she can, and she lies and she schemes, and she is an awful person. And the last story of the day is Tana Mongeau. Tana Mongeau has her MTV show and she had another episode come out. So we recently spoke about the whole show, right from season 1 episode 1 to season 2 episode 4, which was the most recent episode at that point. And I spoke about the medication episode that she had where she came off as very bratty and entitled. So if you want to see that video just so you're up to date on all the episodes, it'll be in the description down below in a link. But recently another episode came out and she doesn't look any better. So it was an episode where they speak about Trevor's sobriety and his whole journey and how he recently relapsed and had a 3-day kind of like drinking problem, and then he put himself back into rehab because he realized where this was going and he didn't want it to progress any further, so he put himself in rehab. And then they all go out clubbing and drinking and they bring Trevor with them even though they didn't really want to, but then they invite him and he's not having any fun. And when he says, "Hey guys, I want to leave," they all just go, "Okay, bye." See, if that was my friend, I would make sure to do fun things that don't involve alcohol. Why is it that none of them can have fun without getting blackout wasted? Is that how boring your life is? Is that how boring they are as people, that they can't have a single night out without drinking? And I don't mean go to a club. I mean, there are so many things that normal people can do to have fun during the day. Go to the cinema, go to a nice restaurant, do something that doesn't involve drinking or smoking or doing drugs. And the fact that they know that their friend has just relapsed and is struggling again, and then they continue to just not involve him in things that don't involve alcohol. Do you know what I mean? That's like, if you have a friend in a group that is struggling with something, yes, you can every now and then go clubbing without them, for example, or go out to drink without them. And you should try your best to think of things to do that don't involve alcohol. That is the nice thing to do. Do you want him to relapse? Is that what you want? Do you want that? And then recently someone tweeted out saying, "Tana Mongeau, are you just not going to talk about how bad MTV is making you look?" And hear me out. I don't think MTV is making her look bad. I think she is just a bad person. I think she's an entitled brat who doesn't care about anyone but themselves. And that is the point I've reached now with Tana Mongeau, where I don't feel bad for her. I just think she's entitled and doesn't want to work on herself, on bettering herself and being a good person, because it doesn't fit her lifestyle. Tana Mongeau replied saying, "My next video is addressing everyone's questions. I hate this right now, but soon my explanation for everything will be out." And then she tweeted out saying, "Although I will discuss more things at length in an upcoming video, I want to clarify one thing right now. I have cared about Trevor and his recovery more than anything in the world and have done everything in my power to be there for him. Waking up to an edit of anything that makes it look like I didn't. Even in my darkest times shooting the show, there was never a point where I'd encourage Trevor to fall off the path or not be there for him in the best way I knew possible. Jesus, I'm so upset right now at that. I just got unupset at last week's bullshit today." The thing is, you were upset because people are calling you out for being an entitled brat last week. So how about you just stop being an entitled brat, and then people will stop being mean to you, and then you won't have to be upset about it. Wow, what a concept. Jesus, I just want to focus on helping the world right now, and I hate this drama. I'm literally sick of the way I look in the public eye right now. Hoping this life, health, mental health update clarifies some and lets you in on where I'm at now, and the truth behind that time of my life. But I can't help feel like now I need to film another, even more in-depth one. I got through the lowest 6 months of my life and managed to live, managed to climb up from rock bottom, learn that the only person who can save me is me, and I can't be anything for anyone until I love myself. I'm the best version of me that I've been in my entire life, and I finally stopped running from so much. We all are finally on the right path and healthy and happy and bettering ourselves after the stress and exhaustion of shooting the show. I'd so much rather be hated for saying MTV can chop up 70 hours of footage into a 30-minute episode in a way to cause drama or make people hate watch the show than go down as a person who doesn't care about people and treats people like I care about everyone's health and always have. Recovery and addiction are two things I'm very passionate about, as they are two things I've dealt with very seriously. I was never discrediting asthma. I was never discrediting the importance of health. I can't believe I have to say this. All the things we all said for 400 hours about these topics didn't make MTV's cut. Video coming soon explaining everything, so hopefully I can move on and use my platform to help the world. Right now, instead of having to do this, I'll be back. Please hear me out. I have a lot to say. And hear me out. When she was like, we never discredited asthma, but you did. Even if then you corrected yourself, like you still said, oh, I'm not gonna take my medication. It's just asthma. I don't care about my health. I'm gonna keep on smoking and living my best life. Didn't you say that? Weren't those the words that roughly came out of your mouth? And then even if you follow that up with, oh, I'll take my inhaler, asthma is important. Like you still said, oh, I don't care about my health. It's just asthma. I won't take my inhaler. I'll keep on smoking. What were we supposed to understand from that? That's not MTV making you look bad. That's you making yourself look bad. There's just so much that I'm not okay with the show. For example, her saying like, oh, recovery is so important to me. Everyone's in a good place mentally and health-wise. Are they? Because Trevor just relapsed. Are they? Are they really in a good place health-wise? And are you doing anything to help them with that? Like I said, you don't have to go out and drink. You don't have to go out clubbing. You can go out once a week clubbing without Trevor, but then include him in other things that don't include alcohol, because that's what a good friend would do. They would make some sacrifices to help a friend that they really care about. And the thing is, you claim all the time that you don't have a real family, that your biological family isn't really there for you, and all you have is your friends. So how about you actually take care of those friends and make those friendships last? If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, comment down below anything, comment down below, and subscribe because I post videos every other day-ish. So hit that bell and you'll be notified when that's happening. Social media links in the description, as well as the Tana Mongeau videos that you can watch that, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye guys.